heard that you had arrived. It is good to finally meet you, Dragonborn. Is it really so surprising to think that you are the only person to be invited down here? We all have our parts to play, after all. My name is Medeliu Hammar of House Telvanni. And please, let us just get this out of the way. I do, in fact, know everything. You will find, Dragonborn, that the passions of power fade with time. Mage duels and scheming lose their edge with the centuries, and one finds pleasure in dedicating themselves to the simpler things. For me, I'd rather have my books, my tower, and my adequate children. In my old age, I focus not on spells, but on words. And through the years, I have amassed quite literally the whole of all knowledge in existence. It's something of a source of pride for me. In many ways, yes. If you reach a point in your travels when you are stuck, come to me for advice, and I may help you. In the meantime, I can always give you a little primer on the deeper aspects of the world. No spoilers, though. It's always best if you figure things out yourself. Well, that is a bit of a complicated question. To be exact, you are still on Nirn, and still, logically speaking, in Skyrim. Or rather, you are underneath. Deep underneath, in fact. We are technically on the outskirts of the clockwork city of Sothasil. They refer to this place as Lull. One of the three original tribunal, mortals who stole godhood. Sothasil was perhaps unique among them, a reclusive mystic who hid himself away in the depths of the world. He created what you see before you, as well as the fabricants you have spoken to. Bruce? Yes, I believe he's been wandering the world. I apologize for his behavior. He was always an odd child, even before his obsessions began. There were many iterations of the world that Magnus designed. Some well-known, like Hermaeus Mora or Sibandus, others less so. Eventually, they settled on the design you see today. Put simply, the wheels are the literal clockwork that drives the world, its underlying mechanisms that make the sun rise and the weather change. It was first proposed by Lorcan, designed by Magnus, and then later discovered by Sothasil, who took control of it and made the clockwork city. They are artificial and sometimes natural creations, constructs that keep the world stable. If known as a song, the towers compose its symphony. Now, each tower has a focal point, a stone as it is called, that keeps it active. These stones can range from small objects to complicated constructs, but they can be used and unfortunately destroyed. If a stone is destroyed, that tower is considered deactivated. That is, it no longer keeps the world stable. The more towers that go down, the more unstable the world becomes. The chronographers, understandably, have a vested interest in keeping such towers active, for what good it does them. Many, many towers have been deactivated already. White Gold Tower, Red Mountain, Walk Brass, Crystal Like Law, Orchalk, Green Sap, all dead. Of the many towers, only Snow Throat, the Throat of the World, and Adamantia, which you call Dureni Tower, remain active. Understand, the Dwemer saw creation as a prison, a cage that robbed them of their immortal forms. The Ultima believed as such, but the Dwemer dedicated their existence to this belief, as well as the desire to break free of it. They eventually proposed a god of their own, a machine called Numidium, which would break apart the world and free them of their mortal coil. And that is it, Dragonborn. The Dwemer, in their final moments, merged with their brass god, becoming its final components. It is not a complicated thing what happened to them. They are simply something else, and something far more dangerous. Under the guide of a Shezarene, Numidium could be controlled, but let loose, it is a greater threat than anything Nirn will ever know. The collective souls of an entire race of furious world deniers in the body of an enormous brass golem would spell disaster for the world. Only a fool would want them back. Well, in some ways you are already. You are Dragonborn, part of a figment of the Akatashian Oversoul, much like your fellow dragons and Alduin. You are in many ways immortal, though having part of the soul of an insane god is not something I'd envy. How do I explain this? Most gods and Daedra are simply smaller subgradients of a greater being. Dragons are smaller parts of Akatosh. This is how you absorb their souls. You are simply merging existing pieces of yourself with yourself. Of course Talos is a god. The question is Talos a man? For starters, Talos is not a single person, but a collection of Shezarines. Though the god of space, Lorcan, is dead, he manifests through avatars, incarnations of himself we call Shezarines, taken from his imperial name. Talos is, in fact, merely part of the oversoul of Lorcan. And Lorcan is perhaps one of the most powerful entities in existence, if not the most powerful. Talos is surely a god, but given his status as Lorcan, it is hard to say that he was ever a man.